Beneath conscious awareness, the brain acts more like a brilliant guesser than a perfect camera. This guessing game is not random or vague. It's a precise negotiation between expectation and evidence, a process we call predictive processing, with a crucial hidden ingredient that we're going to talk about today, and that's precision weighting. I've made 2 other videos recently that involve predictive processing. We're going to dig deep today into precision weighting. So every second, billions of neural messages are crisscrossing the brain, not only registering sensory cues from the world, but also streaming down predictions about what those cues should be. Your experience of seeing someone's face in the crowd or noticing the aroma wafting from a food stall isn't simply detected in the raw. Instead, it's shaped and fine-tuned by what your brain believes is likely to be there, sculpted by your knowledge, by context, and even by your current mood. When actual sensory input lines up neatly with what the brain forecasts, awareness stays effortless and familiar. But when surprise arises, when something is out of place, the brain flags the mismatch as a prediction error, drawing attention for possible update and action. Hey everyone, I'm Henry and you're watching my channel Henry's Millions, where I dive deep into psychology, spirituality, and neuroscience, helping you explore and master the forces that shape your life. So what determines which surprises command notice and which go unheeded? This is where the hidden power of precision weighting like weights, enters. Not waiting like you're in a waiting room. So just want to clarify that. So precision weighting refers to the brain's delicate estimation of how reliable or noisy any signal, whether it's external or internal, truly is. It's a bit like the sophisticated alarms in modern buildings, detecting when to filter out distractions as background noise and when instead to amplify signals that really matter. So when a prediction error is marked as highly precise, the brain pays close attention, setting in motion learning, adaptation, or even rapid physical movement. When error signals are marked as imprecise, they are dimmed or ignored, conserving resources for what's likely most meaningful. So this process is not confined to laboratory measurements or philosophical speculation. It permeates everyday life. It shapes why a parent can hear their child's voice above a noisy crowd, why an athlete can focus laser sharp amid distraction, and why moments of anxiety or joy can seem to flood awareness, reshaping the very feel of the world. It even helps to explain why in states of fatigue, stress, or emotional upheaval, attention flickers or misfires, sometimes missing the forest for the trees. The modern science of predictive processing, with its core insight into precision weighting, is rapidly transforming our grasp of mind, consciousness, and action. It reveals a brain not just receiving the world's information, but actively sculpting experience, opportunity, and even personal identity. So onto the predictive brain. So this is a new foundation for our understanding in neuroscience. So at the core in contemporary neuroscience lies a striking departure from how most people imagine their minds worked. For centuries, the dominant picture was one of sensation followed by interpretation. The brain was a passive receiver, processing the world's information in a neat, one-way cascade from the senses inward. This traditional model describes perception as a bottom-up assembly line. You got your eyes, your ears, and your skin to collect data, which then travel through the neural pathways to be translated into useful representations and experiences. In this telling, the brain works much like a camera, snapping pictures of reality, or perhaps a computer that computes what the senses deliver. But recent research shows this model is at best only half of the story. Now there's a new conceptual framework that's shaking up our understanding. That's predictive processing. So in this dynamic picture, the brain is fundamentally a proactive prediction engine. From the moment we wake and throughout sleep and dreaming, our brains are tirelessly engaged in the act of guessing what will happen next. These predictions are not vague hunches. They are detailed models crafted from a lifetime of learning, refined over countless iterations as we act, perceive, and reflect. So rather than merely waiting for sensory input to arrive, the brain constantly broadcasts its own expectations about what the senses will detect, preparing not only for what is likely, but also for what is vital to controlling behavior. This perpetual forecasting is not carried out in a single monolithic sweep. Instead, the brain is organized as a deep hierarchy, a multi-layered network in which higher-level areas form broad, abstract predictions, and lower-level regions deal with fine-grained, immediate results. The higher-level structures send down patterns, which are expectations about what is likely to happen or what sensations are probable. In effect, top-down information flow. Now, as actual sensory data comes in, it's compared to these predictions at each level, and any discrepancy gets flagged as a prediction error, an important hint that something unexpected, perhaps meaningful, has occurred. The relentless minimization of these errors constitutes the brain's central organizing principle. Our neural machinery is tuned to reduce the size and frequency of prediction errors, constantly updating our internal models to better match the incoming flow of sensory data. So what this means in practice is that the brain is always aiming to make better, more efficient bets about the environment, adjusting its own beliefs as new evidence accumulates. So this is a process that combines both learning, changing predictions over time and in light of evidence, and adaptations, changing actions to better align with prediction. The result is a mind that is not only capable of perceiving the world, but of skillfully navigating, anticipating, and shaping unfolding events. In everyday life, this becomes strikingly clear when we encounter ambiguous or noisy situations. Think of listening to a conversation in a crowded cafe or walking down a foggy street. The raw sensory information can be unclear or missing critical details. Yet people rarely find themselves paralyzed by the gaps. Instead, brains fill in the missing information, drawing upon experience, context, and deeply embedded expectations. Sometimes this leads to startling effects. A person may confidently hear their own name amid a jumble of voices, or spot a familiar object even when it's half hidden in the shadow. The brain's reliance on predictive processing is what endows us with stability, speed, and resilience. Without it, our experience would be riddled with uncertainty and decision. So real-world success hinges on how well our predictions align with reality. When expectations are met, perception and action unfold smoothly. But when the world throws us a curveball, prediction errors spike, catching our attention and priming us to learn or adapt. So over time, these errors help us fine-tune our models, become more adept at seeing subtle patterns, and grow in confidence and skill. So seeing through this lens, learning itself is nothing more and nothing less than the refinement of prediction machinery. Each lesson is a calibration, every experience an opportunity to tune expectations for greater accuracy or flexibility. So the shift from a passive receiver to an active predictor is more than a scientific revolution. It promises new insights for how we approach attention, creativity, and resilience, both in the face of everyday challenges and extraordinary situations. So next, let's delve into the subject in the subtle yet profound ways that brain determines which prediction errors are truly important, and how the artful weighing of these signals unlocks the hidden power of attention in every moment. So if the brain is a prediction engine, what makes some signals demand our focus while others fade into the background? The secret is not simply in the strength or volume of sensory input, but in how the brain estimates and assigns precision to the torrent of incoming self-generated signals. Precision in this context is the brain's way of estimating how trustworthy or reliable a given stream of information is likely to be. This estimation is crucial because not all information is created equal. Some signals, like a sudden screech of tires or the gentle tug of a loved one's hand, must be attended to immediately, while others, like the familiar hum of the office fan or the faint ticking of a clock, can be safely ignored. So precision weighting acts as the brain's internal volume knob, modulating the impact of prediction errors at every level of processing. When the brain judges an error signal as highly precise, it amplifies that signal, giving it more influence in revising predictions and driving behavior. If a prediction error is marked as imprecise, it is dampened, often disregarded entirely, saving precious resources for signals that matter more. This process underpins what we experience as attention, the flexible, context-sensitive ability to focus on what's important and ignore the irrelevant. So neuroscientific evidence for precision weighting comes from studies examining how the brain filters sensory data and prioritizes action. Take, for example, classic experiments on the cocktail party effect. So in a crowded room, people effortlessly tune out most of the conversations, but they can instantly notice their own name, even spoken across the room. So here's the brain's expectations, built from years of hearing and using that name, combined with the situational context to assign a high degree of precision to that very specific auditory pattern. So when it appears, even faintly, the error signal is boosted and attention is captured. So similarly, in experiments on visual search, participants often fail to notice dramatic changes in a scene if their expectations are not primed for them. So this is known as change blindness. The brain, guided by prior knowledge and context, selectively boosts prediction errors deemed precise and diminishes those that don't fit active goals. So if your attention is set on finding your keys, you'll be more likely to spot shiny metallic objects or overlook a stack of letters nearby, even if they move or change. That's a direct reflection of precision weighting at work. So beyond these controlled studies, precision weighting shapes daily activities in endlessly practical ways. Athletes perform at their best when their precision weighting system is tuned to key signals, like the release of a ball or the shifting posture of an opponent, allowing them to react in milliseconds. Musicians, they often lose themselves in a performance because their attention's narrow to the most task-relevant cues, a particular tempo, harmony, or gesture. In moments of flow, the brain's ability to finely modulate precision brings sharp clarity and effortless control. So crucially, not all precision assignments happen consciously. Much of this profound filtering occurs beneath awareness, with the brain silently deciding what to let into consciousness and what to filter out. That means many so-called failures of attention, missing someone waving at you, overlooking a typo, or blanking out during a routine commute, they're not lapses of willpower, but ordinary consequences of how precision weighting works, shaped by what your brain continually predicts to be most relevant. So precision weighting therefore emerges as a hidden tuning mechanism within attention, orchestrating which prediction errors rise to awareness and which melt away, all in the service of action and adaptation. So to understand attention is to understand how and why the brain sets in its internal dials of precision, responding to context, history, goals, and even culture. All right, next, I'm going to talk about the deep relationship between perception and action, revealing how precision weighting not only sculpts experience, but also powers the dance of control and readiness that lies at the heart of effective living. So the boundary between perceiving and acting isn't as clear-cut as it might seem from everyday introspection. Predictive processing science reveals that perception and action form two sides of a continuous cycle. It's a dance in which each move shapes the other. The brain is never just a spectator, passively registering the outside world. Instead, it is locked in a reciprocal relationship with the environment, using prediction to both interpret sensations and guide movements, all with the overarching goal of minimizing uncertainty and maximizing adaptive response. So at the core of this relationship is the principle of active inference. So unlike a model that simply waits for sensory data to roll in, the predictive brain initiates action to sample the world, seeking out information that will resolve ambiguity, confirm its expectations, or quickly deal with surprises. So imagine reaching out for a cup in the dark. Your hand doesn't just fumble aimlessly. Instead, subtle hints, muscle memory, the faint outline, the cool whisper of air, they inform your predictions, while minute adjustments in movement serve to test and refine those predictions in real time. So this constant interplay means that every perception is already primed for possible action, and every action in turn produces new streams of sensory feedback for the brain to interpret. A central phenomenon in this interplay is called affordance competition. The brain at any fleeting instant considers multiple action possibilities. Should you swerve left or right, speak or stay silent, stand or sit? Each of these possibilities is represented as a cluster of predictions and potential sensory consequences, all simmering together within the neural hierarchy. Now, precision weighting enters the scene as a decisive judge. It determines which hypothesis or potential action earns the right to take over behavior. So think of a basketball player weighing whether to pass, shoot, or dribble in the midst of a chaotic play. Their brain is evaluating the shifting probabilities and uncertainties of each move, continuously updating which option received the highest precision and therefore wins out as the next action. This ability to manage multiple reasonable bets and to rapidly resolve competition between them is what enables swift, flexible adaptation to new circumstances. When a situation is clear and familiar, precision can be confidently assigned, allowing quick, almost automatic response. When things are ambiguous, say deciding how to respond to a cryptic email or negotiating an unfamiliar social situation, precision is distributed more cautiously. In these uncertain conditions, the brain's machinery ensures that attention and motivation are allocated to exploring alternatives, collecting more information, and waiting until greater clarity emerges. So decision-making then is a slow, staged affair where evidence is weighed and a plan devised in isolation before action. So instead, it's a fluid, ongoing interaction in which perception and action are co-determined, each feeding the other in a tight loop. So the result is not only faster reactions, but more robust adaptive learning. Mistakes and surprises become opportunities to refine one's internal models, while successes reinforce existing patterns, enhancing future readiness. So these insights have profound practical implications. Mastery in any skill involves teaching the brain to assign precision to the most diagnostic signals. Whether those are the subtle cues of an opponent in chess, the movements of traffic while driving, or the emotional currents in a conversation. When people complain of being indecisive or paralyzed by options, it is often a sign that their precision weighting system isn't sufficiently calibrating which possibilities to prioritize. Training, feedback, and deliberate practice refine this system, and they promote sharper focus, quicker learning, and more confident action. The predictive brain is remarkably plastic. It's gradually learning to update its calibration of precision in response to consistent experience and practice. So importantly, there's no universal sweet spot for precision assignment. So what counts as optimal varies by circumstance, by culture, context, and history. And precision weighting is the subtle, powerful force through which brains decide what deserves attention and what recedes into the background noise. This mechanism, finely attuned by learning, by bodily states and social encounters, orchestrates every move from catching a ball to reading a friend's mood, from overcoming anxiety to finding inspiration in moments of flow. So it demonstrates that each instant of clarity, confidence, or creative leap is underwritten by the brain's success at tuning the volume on the signals that matter most. So understanding this science enables deeply practical change, far beyond abstract theory. The moment you realize your attention is always being subtly weighed by your context, emotions, your conversations, you gain the power to shape it deliberately. You can practice both mentally and physically to recalibrate your own precision dials. You can seek out experiences, environments, and communities that help you learn new ways to direct your focus, to respond to uncertainty, and adapt to the changing world.